Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Ling Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's stories. California is bracing for more storms. Governor Gavin Newsom declared an emergency on Wednesday, with large parts of the state expected to face flooding, power outages, and hazardous conditions. Update on the miraculous rescue of the Calif nicknamed Devil's Slide. The driver of the Tesla that plummeted down has been arrested. Authorities say the accident might have been intentional. After multiple rounds of votes, U.S. House of Representatives still doesn't have a speaker. But more GOP lawmakers are throwing their support behind Kevin McCarthy. Californians are bracing for more storms this week. In Northern California, one city even declared a state of emergency for the homeless.
It was the calm before the next storm. Northern California residents were still drying out from Saturday's storm and picking up sandbags to help protect their homes. Now, residents brace for another round of powerful storms this week.
Well, they said it was going to be bad, and it was really bad. And so now they're saying this one is going to be a lot worse. So I want to make sure that I'm prepared and not having to do this when it's pouring down rain like I did on Saturday.
A weather phenomenon known as the atmospheric river dumped 5.5 inches of rain in San Francisco, the city's second wettest day on record. It also left a foot of snow in the Sierra Nevada mountains.
It was coming down for a really long time. So I don't think the rain's going to be as bad this time, but because everything's so wet, there's just no place for the water to go.
And in the South Bay, San Jose declared a state of emergency on Tuesday for the homeless. The Office of Emergency Management will deploy a long-range audio device to give announcements. Another powerful storm is expected Wednesday and Thursday that could bring 3 to 4 more inches of rain and up to 3 feet of snow in the mountains, along with wind gusts of up to 50 miles per hour. The National Weather Service forecast warned Wednesday's storm would happen later in the day and could cause widespread flooding and power outages. Crews are rushing to restore power and repair roads before the next storm arrives. Although the storms are causing significant problems, the rain is still welcomed in drought-parched California. The past 3 years have been the state's driest on record. Most of the state's major reservoirs remain below their historical averages. The one exception was Folsom Lake near Sacramento, which was at 153% of its historical average on Sunday.
The California's Water Resources Agency conducted its first Snowpack survey of the year on Tuesday. Officials say the state is off to a good start in terms of water levels. Here's what the experts discussed on the snow survey.
On Tuesday, state water officials took the year's first official measurements of snow and water content in Phillips, a town east of Sacramento in the central Sierra Mountains. Recent storms boosted the measurement as heavy rain drenched the state during the holidays, and California could see even more rain and snow this week and into the weekend.
The state has a unique responsibility of operating and maintaining the State Plan of Flood Control, or SPFC, in the Central Valley, and we continue to monitor and respond to conditions that may be arrived with the State Plan of Flood Control facilities. The State Plan of Flood Control is 1,600 miles of levees, weirs, features, and operations that manage high water flows in the Sacramento and the San Joaquin Basin.
There's hope that in the spring, the snow will melt and flow into reservoirs and provide water for drinking and farming. California water reservoirs remain well below capacity. It remains to be seen whether the latest storms will deliver enough water to end the state's 3-year drought.
It's really helpful if the storms would be so kind as to space themselves out a week or two apart so we have time for water to move through the system, move into reservoirs and all of that. Flood risk increases and the ability to capture water in groundwater or reservoir storage decreases if storms are very closely spaced.
Jones says we are only a third of the way through the wettest months.
And we don't know what the rest of the season will be like. If these storms were to shut off after the next week, we could potentially be seeing a situation similar to what we had last year, where the spring is, or the later months are much less useful to contributing to water supply.
California is expected to see continued rain and snow over the coming days, with the threat of flooding in parts of the state. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
According to the California Highway Patrol, the Tesla driver who drove over a cliff known as the Devil's Slide on Monday will face charges. Authorities say the incident might not have been an accident.
The driver of the Tesla that plummeted off a cliff in San Mateo County has been arrested. Authorities say the driver may have intentionally driven the vehicle over the edge of the cliff. According to California Highway Patrol investigators, the driver, Dharmesh Arvind Patel from Pasadena, was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder and child abuse. Patel is currently being treated for injuries at Stanford Hospital, and upon his release will be booked into San Mateo County Jail. This comes after a Tesla sedan plummeted more than 250 feet down a cliff from the highway and crashed into rocks below. First responders responded to the call around 10:50 a.m. on Monday. They found 2 adults and 2 children, ages 7 and 4, trapped in the vehicle that went over. The crash happened in an area known as the Devil's Slide due to its fatal wrecks and few survivors. All 4 were conscious during the rescue and were transported to local hospitals.
A growing number of Republican lawmakers have thrown their support behind House GOP leader Kevin McCarthy amid a challenge from members of his own party. But after 6 rounds of votes, the House still has not elected a speaker.
U.S. House members continue to hold votes for the next speaker, and Kevin McCarthy appears to be the likely Republican candidate. But as votes remain split, many of McCarthy's district residents, friends, and former political leaders have shown their support for his bid.
It's crazy, and you would never thought if you saw Kevin in high school. He was scrappy, and he worked hard. He wasn't the biggest person, he wasn't the fastest person, he wasn't the strongest person, but he was going to give it his all.
I would never see him staying down. He's not that guy. He comes from here. We have direct access to him, and he has access to people to help us tell our story. That the lifeblood of the Central Valley of California is ag.
Longtime Kern County Republican leader Cathay Abernathy says McCarthy is the best homegrown candidate for the job. But many critics of McCarthy question his conservative ideology.
Kevin is the most adaptable politician I have ever seen in my life. I think he knows how to evolve his positions enough to stay viable in the political game. Do I consider him a conservative ideologue? No, not at all.
As of Wednesday, McCarthy continued to fall a few votes short of the 218 he needs to become Speaker of the House. He struggled to gain full support from Republican colleagues, while all 212 Democrats voted for New York Democratic Representative Hakeem Jeffries. Jeffries is expected to serve as House Minority Leader. The vote for the Speaker must occur before any other business can take place in the lower congressional chamber, including swearing in new members.
Twitter is being sued for allegedly not paying rent for an office in San Francisco. The complaint was filed in a California state court last month.
On December 29th, the landlord of 650 California Street filed a complaint for breach of lease against Twitter, whose headquarters is located elsewhere in the city. According to an exhibit attached to the lawsuit, Twitter was alerted in mid-December that it owed approximately $136,000 in rent, and that if it did not send payment within 5 business days, it would be in default of the lease. The landlord, Columbia Property Trust, says that Twitter failed to comply with the requirements. In late 2020, Twitter was also sued for allegedly failing to pay nearly $200,000 for flights. According to the suit, Twitter entered a purchase agreement with Private Jet Services Group, and several employees used the private air charter services in 2022. The suit alleges that the invoices for the flights were never paid. According to the docket, Twitter has not yet responded to the case in court, but has received a summons. A case management conference has been scheduled for May 31st.
We're going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we got for you when we come back. The population of the Golden State continues to decline. That's according to the latest census data. A new state law named Keep Families Connected Act will allow California inmates to make unlimited domestic and international calls, but each call will be time limited. A coalition of business owners in San Francisco is suing the city. They're demanding tax refunds for the losses they suffered due to the drugs, crime, and homelessness crisis. That and more on California Today. Welcome back to California Today. I'm your host, Liang Zhang. California's population continues to decline. That's according to the latest data from the U.S. Census Bureau.
According to figures released by the U.S. Census Bureau last week, California reported 39 million residents in July 2022. That's more than 113,000 less than a year ago and more than 500,000 less compared to 2 years ago. H.D. Palmer, Deputy Director of External Affairs at the California Department of Finance, told the Sacramento Bee that high home prices are the cause of California's shrinking population. Palmer said, if you talk to demographers, they'll say that one of the factors is the cost of housing, and that's continued to be a challenging issue for the state. According to the Census Bureau, the U.S. population overall went up by 0.4%, or about 1.25 million in 2022. The Bureau's demographer Christy Wilder said, a rebound in net international migration, coupled with the largest year-over-year increase in total births since 2007, is behind this increase. Meanwhile, Texas and Florida continue to see significant growth in their populations. According to the latest numbers, Texas gained almost 500,000 people last year and became the only other state with 30 million in population besides California. Florida gained almost 2% in population last year, bringing its population to 22 million. And like California, New York State is also experiencing a population decline.
California prisoners will now be able to make calls for free. They're time limited, but the number of calls is unlimited.
Starting this year, California prison inmates can make and receive free unlimited phone calls under the Keep Families Connected Act. These calls can be either domestic or international. According to the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, although limited to 15 minutes long at a time, the amount of free calls is unlimited. These calls also include those made from tablets. In a statement last December, Senator John Becker said, the ability to call your partner, children, or friends to instantly share your joys or sadness will make everyone involved do better in life. These calls have to be made during set hours and will still be recorded.
Dozens of San Francisco business owners have formed a new association. Owners are demanding that the city government provide tax refunds due to the drugs, crime, and homelessness crisis.
Business owners in San Francisco's Tenderloin district have formed the Tenderloin Business Coalition. It consists of 135 businesses and property owners. The San Francisco Chronicle reports that the coalition has demanded tax refunds for 2022. The coalition says it's in response to an influx of rampant crime, homelessness, and drug use that has financially hurt the neighborhood. An openly illicit drug trade has driven frightened customers from tax-paying neighborhood businesses. The petition states, our customers are unwilling to enter the neighborhood to patronize our businesses. The result is a catastrophic loss of revenue for the small businesses that are vital to the health and safety of the neighborhood. Due to this untenable situation, businesses are closing and there is a real and palpable fear that the neighborhood is now on the verge of collapse. But this is not the first community association to demand action from City Hall. Back in August, businesses in the Castro district also threatened to withhold paying taxes if their demands for improved street conditions were not met. The Castro Merchants Association sent a letter to City Hall on August 8th urging officials to, quote, take action as the area was struggling. In 2021, Mayor London Breed was forced to declare a state of emergency over the rampant drug use in the Tenderloin. She says the city is limited by legal limitations, but has promised to help alleviate the overwhelmed 911 call system by deploying community workers instead of the police. Breed says that starting in 2023, the city will utilize a newly created state program called Care Court. This would force them to get help along with the backing of local counties.
President Joe Biden officially renominated former Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti to be ambassador to India. The nomination was stalled over accusations that Garcetti ignored sexual assault and harassment allegations against a former top aide. On January 3rd, President Joe Biden renominated former Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti as ambassador to India. Garcetti was originally nominated by Biden back in July 2021. Garcetti's Senate confirmation process for the envoy post stalled over questions about his knowledge of harassment allegations against Rick Jacobs, a former senior advisor. Last year, Republican Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley requested an investigation. It concluded that it was more probable than not Jacobs sexually harassed multiple individuals and made racist comments towards others. It also found that Garcetti likely knew of the behavior, saying that, by all accounts, Mayor Garcetti is very involved in the day-to-day operation of his office. In a January 3rd statement, the White House responded, "This partisan report was a hit job from the beginning, and many of the claims have already been conclusively debunked by more serious independent reports." Garcetti's nomination still needs a final confirmation by a majority of the U.S. Senate. Actor Jeremy Renner received surgery after a recent snowplow accident. He is in critical condition but stable.
Marvel actor Jeremy Renner remains in critical but stable condition after undergoing surgery. A representative for the actor on Monday said the Avengers star suffered blunt chest trauma and orthopedic injuries in a snowplow accident in Reno, Nevada on Sunday.
Based on our investigation, Mr. Renner's personal vehicle, which was being driven by a family member, had become stuck in the snow near his home. Mr. Renner went to retrieve his piston bully, or snowcat, an extremely large piece of snow removal equipment weighing at least 14,330 pounds, in an effort to get his vehicle moving. After successfully towing his personal vehicle from its stuck location, Mr. Renner got out of his piston bully to speak to his family member. At this point, it was observed that the piston bully started to roll. In an effort to stop the rolling piston bully, Mr. Renner attempts to get back into the driver's seat of the piston bully. Based on our investigation, it's at this point that Mr. Renner is run over by the piston bully.
The 51-year-old is in an intensive care unit following surgery.
An eyewitness detailed seeing Mr. Renner getting into the piston bully and not seeing him again until the piston bully came to a rest in a pile of snow in front of his driveway. At this point in the investigation, we do not believe Mr. Renner was impaired at all, and we believe this is a tragic accident.
The Washoe County Sheriff's Office said late Sunday that Renner had to be flown by helicopter to a hospital for treatment. According to the Reno Gazette-Journal, the Oscar-nominated actor owns a home in Washoe County in northern Nevada. That area received heavy snowfall on New Year's Eve. The actor has starred in multiple Marvel projects. In addition to being an Avenger, Renner starred in 2 Mission Impossible films, as well as Arrival, American Hustle, and 28 Weeks Later. He won Best Actor for the 2008 film The Hurt Locker and has received 2 Oscar nominations for the crime drama film The Town. He is currently starring in Mayor of Kingstown, which is debuting its 2nd season this month.
Now to NTD's Tyler Castile for an update on sports.
I'm Tyler Castillo, taking you through the California Today Sports Roundup. Klay Thompson poured in a season-high 54 points, and Kevin Looney capped a 20-rebound night with a tip-in at the final buzzer as Golden State outlasted Atlanta in a double overtime victory at San Francisco. Thompson's 54 points were the 2nd most of his career. After a Trae Young floater tied the game with 8 seconds left in the 2nd extra session, the Warriors went to Thompson, who misfired on a straightaway 3-point attempt. Looney got a hand on the high carom, tapped it off the glass, then retrieved it himself to lay in for a hoop that survived a video review. Looney finished with 14 points to go with a game-high 20 rebounds, 10 of which came on the offensive end. In losing for the fourth consecutive times, 4 Hawks recorded double-doubles, led by Young's 30 points and game-high 14 assists. DeJounte Murray added 25 points and 10 rebounds, while John Collins also had 25 points to go along with 13 boards. Warriors 143, Hawks 141. LeBron James scored 43 points and grabbed 11 rebounds as Los Angeles earned a victory in Charlotte, 10 days after losing at home to the Hornets. Thomas Bryant had 18 points and 15 rebounds, while Dennis Schroeder, who turned in some key baskets in the fourth quarter, and Austin Reeves had 15 points for the Lakers. The Hornets trimmed a 24-point second half goal to 117-113 before James nailed 2 free throws with 16 seconds to play. He added 2 more foul shots. Terry Rozier led Charlotte with 27 points. LaMelo Ball added 24 points, and Mason Plumlee had 18 points and 14 rebounds. Lakers 121, Hornets 115. Paul George had 25 points, 7 assists, and 3 steals for the Clippers, who lost their 3rd straight game. Los Angeles, which recovered from a 20-point second-half deficit before wilting in the fourth quarter. Clippers were without Kawhi Leonard due to a non-COVID-related illness. Heat 110, Clippers 100. Samuel Ersson made 28 saves to win his 3rd straight start as visiting Philadelphia defeated Anaheim. Travis Konechny and Joel Farabee each had a goal and an assist, while Morgan Frost and Scott Lawton also scored goals for Philadelphia. Trevor Zegras assisted Ryan Strome, spoiling Ersson's bid for his first career shutout when he scored with under a minute remaining. John Gibson made 29 saves for the Ducks, who lost their 2nd straight game at home. Flyers 4, Ducks 1.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts on our California Today webpage. You can find it at ntd.com/California-today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm Ling Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.